Department of Applied Art, Faculty of Visual Art is welcoming to all of you in this forum. This is a spark project of the Government of India under the Ministry of Education. And now we are today have a roundtable type of conference in online mode right now today. The overall topic is the appraisal of the history of social design in India. और आज हम लोग बात करेंगे इसमें how has the social design changed over time and what were the key moments, designers and projects that shaped the field. So that is the main key person, the key point is here. And our three esteemed guests are Mrs. Padmaja Singh, the co-founder, Pathfinders Advertising, New Delhi, India, and the ex-student of Banaras University. Dr. Piyush Kumar Gupta, Assistant Professor, School of Arts and Design, Boston University, Hyderabad. And Vikram Pal, Faculty Visual Communication, Srishti Manipal Institute of Art and Design and Technology, Bangalore, Karnataka, India. Welcome to all of you and other participants. मैं आप सभी का स्वागत करता हूं और आज के इस राउंड टेबल कॉन्फ्रेंस को शुरू करने के लिए मैं अपने तीनों गेस्ट को भी कहता हूं। तो एज ए मॉडरेटर हम इस पूरे बात में ये जानना चाहेंगे कि जब एक सोशल डिजाइन के ऊपर हम लोग कोई भी काम करते हैं या इस शब्द को समझते हैं, बहुत सारे लोग इसमें अभी भी थोड़ा बहुत कंफ्यूज रहते हैं कि सोशल मीडिया, सोशल डिजाइन और सोशल बहुत सारे बिजनेस एस्पेक्ट्स हैं इस पे। तो पहला क्वेश्चन मन में आता है कि हाउ सोशल डिजाइन कैन बी डिफाइंड एज ए प्रैक्टिस। हम इसको प्रैक्टिस में कैसे ला सकते हैं? तो इसको मैं चाहूंगा कि पद्मजा मैम से शुरुआत हो, फिर आप लोग एक एक करके आंसर दीजिए, फिर हम लोग लगभग 1-1.5 घंटे के अंदर इन सारी चीजों पे कुछ अपनी एक सोच विकसित करेंगे। Welcome, ma'am.
First of all, good afternoon to all participants and my co-speakers, Mr. Moderator, Dr. Manish Arora. I am glad to be here as a part, though it was a very hurried kind of preparation for this channel. But I'm glad to be here now. And when we are talking about social design, I want to say that I'm proud to be a citizen, a denizen of a democracy which is hailed as a great democracy of this world. Because unless we were citizens of this kind of a democratic setup, we would not have been lucky enough to sit here and talk about social design. We are all open to talk. We are here to give our own inputs, give our own studies and researchers, whichever we have gathered and all our layers of studies which we have done in the past. So social design is all about being democratic. Social design is all about doing things about which are beneficial for people as a whole. Design, as we know, design is always been defined as a creation which we create something according to a plan. There has to be a plan if you have to design something. And social design in this context is typically not about something commercial. It is about something which serves a specific purpose. It has creation of new social conditions in cities, corporate cultures, communities, teams, with the intended outcomes of deeper civic or cultural engagement, increased creativity, resilience, equity, social justice, and human health. So this is all what social design encompasses. And along with this, social design is comprised with a set of principles. And इसमें क्या है कि बहुत सारे सिद्धांत हैं, एक पूरा सेट है सिद्धांतों का, जो कि हमें कह सकते हैं कि एक चरण से लेके अगले चरण तक जो डेवलपमेंट का प्रोसेस है, एक प्रगति का प्रोसेस है, उसको बढ़ावा देने में काम आती है ये सोशल डिजाइन की प्रिंसिपल्स। और इस सिद्धांतों का सफल प्रयोग करके हम एक एंड रिजल्ट पर पहुंच पाते हैं, जो कि हमारे को जो हमारी डिजायर्ड आउटकम है उस तक लेकर के जाता है। So, social design is a systematic process and done with a number of plans. We reach our goals. We इसकी जो हर प्रोसेस एक अलग अलग भूमिका निभाता है, सो हम अपने निर्धारित आउटकम तक पहुंच पाते हैं, और वो आउटकम जो भी है वो हमारे आसपास के वातावरण को, आसपास के लोगों को, हमारे देश को, हमारे समाज को, हमारे वर्ल्ड को अफेक्ट करता है. दिस इज व्हाट social design is all about, as what I want to define it as.
थैंक यू पद्मजा मैम. नाउ मैं पीयूष जी से बात करना चाहूंगा कि पीयूष जी इस बात को आगे वो अपने कंटिन्यू करते हैं या इसमें थोड़ा सा कोई अपना भी और प्लीज.
Which is not audible.
Please, on you.
So I am very thankful to you, sir. So you have invited me in this panel with Padmaja ma'am and Vikram. So I would like to add something in terms of practice of social design. So as per my understanding, social design is a practice that involves using design thinking and methodologies to address social, environmental, and economic issues. So it is completely interdisciplinary approach that bring together designers, stakeholders, and the communities, the end users, to co-create solutions that are both innovative and impactful. And it is rooted in the belief that design can be a powerful tool for social change, and it is focused on creating solutions that are sustainable, equitable, and inclusive. The practice of social design involves a deep understanding of social, cultural, and economic context of the problem at hand, as well as the need of and aspiration of the communities that also affected by the social design. So it can be practiced in a variety of contexts. For example, we can include product design, service design, architecture, urban planning, and many more. So if I talk about the characterization of a practice of social design, then mostly this is a participatory approach where stakeholders and end user they all are involved in design process from beginning. And at the end, they also incorporate the insights and feedback from the community. So in that way, we actually ensure the practice for the social design.
Now I'm requesting to Vikram ji, please tell something more about on this.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me in this forum, and my warm wishes to the other speakers. And yeah, the thing is about the social design. Obviously, it's a creative practice and dedicated to understanding the problem and to come up with some solutions. And I think it will be a little easier if I share some examples. As it's been categorized, as it's been divided into different kinds or maybe genre, well, whether it's in terms of the marketing or whether it's terms of the advertising of overall as a part of social design, or maybe human-centered or centric design, or maybe infographics or the signages, or maybe through pictograms and all. So maybe is it possible if I can share my screen and share some examples related with uh, some examples related with
Absolutely.
pictograms and infographics?
Yeah, please welcome.
Yeah, sure. Can you see my screen? It's visible?
Yes, perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. I just want to kind of share some examples, wonderful examples, here in terms of mm, I can say infographics or maybe the pictograms and how today's it's all about the evolutions of uh, social design from past and how it's being practiced. And here I'll try to kind of come up with mm, one line of inquiry or maybe relations or maybe the connections from existing cave paintings and while say 100 or maybe 200 years before, and then afterwards means it's being established before 100 or 150 years before, and now we are practicing the same traditions here in our pictograms, in form of pictograms or maybe signage. So while despite 156 or 157 years of research on various aspects of I can say the rock art in India and proposed antiquity of rock painting, still have remained much debated aspects. So there are different geometrical shapes. If I just put the other slide here, you can see this different geometrical shapes and the pictograms. And here nowadays we are trying to kind of solve our social problems, right, through different pictograms or maybe the signage system. So we are using the same characters or the characteristics of the painting that already been painted thousands of years ago, and we are using the same graphical elements in our day-to-day signage system, right? So if I share this one, that is the kind of, you can see here the serpent figure decorated with geometrical pattern. And if I go to the next slides, it's a rock shelter incarnated patterns with executed surface of rocks, and also S-shaped dynamic dancing human figures. And this is here you can see prehistorical rock carvings scalar. And here these are the few depictions of pictogram for sports. This is some pictograms from Olympic 1994. So Lillehammer, Norwegian rock paintings that they are several thousands of years old. And if you see the old depiction of a skier known to mankind and a rock painting discovered on this island, and it's being estimated near about 4,000 years ago. And now the pictograms were drawn and produced. Here you can see that they have taken a kind of magenta color square background with white figure for every winter sport and every sport pictograms competition for the game. So figure also used very kind of completely or partially freestanding. So this is the I can say that here we are kind of solving problems in a creative manner, and we are kind of we are kind of getting the same legacy. We are kind of trying to impart or trying to depict the same thing that already been done, and we're trying to recreate signs, symbols, or any pictorial form through the whatever geometrical form already being done. So I think that's wonderful examples of social design. So yeah, that's all. Over to you, sir. Any other further questions?
नो थैंक यू या इसके बाद तो बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस तो आते ही हैं। अगर हम ये देखें कि भारत में बहुत सारे सोशल डिजाइन के मूवमेंट बहुत पहले से हुए हैं, होते रहे हैं, और पूरा एक जो ह्यूमन सिविलाइजेशन है वो पूरा एक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन है। समय समय पे बहुत कुछ ऐसा बदला है जिसको आज हम एनालिसिस करते हैं तो समाज तो हमारा खैर सदियों पुराना है, और डिजाइन जो शब्द लगभग 100-150 साल पुराना हमारे आसपास आया, इनको जब मिलाते हैं तो जो सोशल डिजाइन के नजरिए से नई चीजों को सोचने को आता है, तो हम भारत में कैसे देखते हैं कि एक इंडियन कैसे देखता है कि सोशल डिजाइन में क्या बड़े बड़े बदलाव आने की संभावना है। मैं चाहूंगा कि इसकी शुरुआत अगर पीयूष करे इस बार, फिर उसके बाद पद्मजा मैम।
यस सर, श्योर सर। सर कई सारे एरिया है इंडिया में जहाँ पे सोशल डिजाइन का इंटरवेंशन जो है उसको हम देख सकते हैं। और ये कंटेम्प्रेरी अगर टाइम की बात करें तो क्योंकि अगर हम सोशल डिजाइन की हिस्ट्री को एनालाइज करें तो हम इसको दो पार्ट में एनालाइज कर सकते हैं। एक तो 19th सेंचुरी ऑनवर्ड तब तक, और एक उसके पहले, क्योंकि सोशल डिजाइन डिजाइन एज अ टर्म, एज अ नॉमेनक्लेचर, ये इसके बाद से ही हम देखते हैं। उसके पहले प्रैक्टिस तो था लेकिन कभी भी वो इस तरीके से डिफाइन नहीं था। तो अगर मैं कंटेम्प्रेरी टाइम की बात करूं तो some examples are there of the areas of the social design where it can have a significant impact. तो एक तो हेल्थ केयर है, क्योंकि इंडिया एज अ कंट्री it is facing significant challenges in the healthcare sector, with many people lacking access to affordable and quality healthcare services. So social design, where we can approach to the local community, and especially we have so many cultural significances in the treatment of some of like we know about the home remedies. So when we are going to consider those, so it can be used to develop innovative solution to address the challenges, these healthcare related challenges, such as designing a low-cost medical devices and developing community-based health programs, and I guess improving the healthcare infrastructure. So every time we cannot look towards the government to develop some kind of infrastructure, but if we can think from the community, like community building system, that we can approach for the uplifting the healthcare system. Second is education, that is very important. So this is the area where we can put some significant impact in India to develop innovative teaching methods, where we can simply same as we are talking about healthcare. So where we can draw some interest from the community to build some accessible and inclusive system for the educational programs. And one more important thing, if you are considering the education system, so we need to look into the pedagogy where we can take some intervention from the local community. It is very much applicable with the design education. For example, if we are talking about the upliftment of handicraft sector, how can we take the professionals, the traditional artisans, their skill set to the design education as a mainstream? So that is the area where we can incorporate like we can invite the local community for the better education. Apart from design, we can also approach with that. And one more thing, waste management. That is very significant challenge in managing this waste items. So with many cities, they are struggling to deal with the sheer volume of garbage produced. So social design, through a social design, it can be used to develop innovative waste management, such as developing compositing system, designing recycling programs, and creating sustainable waste disposal methods. So we can look into it. And as we seen in the last 3 to 4 decades, most of the population from the rural area, they are being migrated to the urban area. So now in the urban planning, we are facing a huge challenges. So in this area, in the urban planning, we can also look into this social design as a tool where design can be used to create sustainable and livable cities, where we can improve the transportation system and create public space that are accessible and affordable and equitable for everyone. So these are the major area where we can approach the social design for the intervention. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the inputs. Now, in continuation of that, I'm requesting to Padmaja ma'am, please continue with your thoughts.
In addition to what Piyush has been telling, like there is a huge gap in the healthcare system, how it is conceived at the center, at the top, and how it reaches the masses. So to bridge that gap, we need to have these systems, these designs, these processes which help the center reach the masses. There have, as everybody knows, there are funds allocated for each and every policy which is made for the benefit of the people under which the people who fall below the poverty line, the people, even people who are above the poverty line, and the uneducated masses, they don't have any access to these policies which are made for the benefit of them, but they don't know whatever is to be done, they are not aware. So awareness and information creation is the biggest challenge for like there are language barriers in our country. Across the country, if we look at all the thoughts and processes which are made, they are made either in English or in Hindi. But when it has to reach the rural masses, they don't know, and the thoughts and the information is not translated in the languages which they can comprehend. So as for example, I would like to give an example of the planning which family planning measures which have been Indian governments have been trying to push across the different methods of family planning, but till now we are booming. We'll be rushing across China in very soon. So now this huge population problem is the biggest challenge, I believe, for the whole economical. There is a huge economical burden on this country, and how to use a condom. There are a huge lot of people who don't know how to use a condom. They haven't been told in so many ways how to use other contraceptive methods, the UID. Though there are a number of things in place which have been formulated for this sole purpose, but how we designers, as designers, we can address this issue to uh, I think this will be a huge help for the country, because we are reeling under the number everywhere we go. We go to a, if you are stand there is a busy marketplace and you wish to use a urinal, you will be surprised that you will have to wait for at least 10 to 15 minutes, and see how difficult that is. So there are so many people around. So this is one big challenge which I see in the public health scenario. If we are talking about India, there is the scope for social design has been immense since time immemorial. um, the our country right now, when I was going through these documents released by the government, how they wish to take the country forward, not only in one they wish to take the country forward in, they wish to promote the cultural aspects of the country, which they want to promote the Sanatan culture of of India, which they really, even I have been looking at videos from people across the world, the NRIs who are living in different countries. They want to uh, inculcate these values in their children. This is one more social problem which I think the government is addressing quite a lot right now, but this is also a big problem which needs to be addressed, that our children who are growing up, they are not aware of our value system which was there a long time back, and a number of mental health issues are coming up. In every household there is a child who needs a counselor. I'm amazed at this, because when we were when we were younger, we never even heard of such problems. We did not know that mental health issues are so big. So this is also one change which needs to be addressed uh, very soon.
I
थैंक यू
would
मुरलीधर
like
मैम,
to,
आपने बहुत
sir,
सारी बात ऐसी बताई। या प्लीज प्लीज।
I would like to respond on the literacy, like awareness that Padmaja told earlier in the initial statement of this. So I don't think so. Bilingual and multilingual can be a good option for awareness program. But if we can approach visual literacy, so because like in India, if we look into the definition of literacy, that is actually a person who can make their own sign, they can be counted as a literate person. So it is not going to allow anyone to read a message, even to respond the message in the right direction. So what if we can put some visuals to make them understand about the message, about the scenario, about the using of anything? So that can be a good option. And here, when we are going to use the visual literacy, so as uh, Vikram presented the symbol that has been transitioned, that the transition. So how can we take the cultural symbols for the visual literacy? So here we can address the cultural aspects that can be rooted to the particular community, um, and the message they will feel that message is associated with this with them, and they can respond in the right way. So I guess if we can consider the cultural visuals, cultural icons for the visual literacy, apart other than the other languages. So here we can do the collaboration with the local community. We can call them on the board, and we can do something. We can produce something in the collaboration where they are involved. They will understand the value, cultural value, the significance of the message, and they will definitely respond in the right direction. So that was my point.
Yeah,
Yes,
Piyush, totally with you on that. So, for social design is about the modus operandi, how to reach the goal.
yeah.
Thank you both of you. Now, the time for the Vikram. Please give
Yeah.
some
So
inputs on these points.
yes. Wonderful. The thing is, yeah. So I just want to tell a few things in continuations of Padmaja ma'am and Piyush ji. The thing is, ma'am told about the different campaign being done by the Ministry of Health, Health Ministry about the different campaign of while taking safety measures, but people are not able to kind of relate, or maybe the posters, or maybe the visuals, or maybe the write-ups, or maybe the due to the language barrier, it's a little difficult for masses to kind of communicate, and they're not able to understand, yeah, these are the things that they need to do. So that's why as Piyush said, that visual literacy is very much important. The same thing, I just would like to kind of talk a little bit about a recent project that we are kind of working, we are doing with the Srishti students. This is about by a mythic society. Actually, the thing is, they have published one book, and this book is all about inscription stone. So here it's written that inscriptions are an important historical source to reconstruct the social, political, and religious history of place and people. So here in Bangalore, the group of people, they discovered around 200 big stone inscriptions, and each stone is talking about the place and the people. And here, what we are working on, we got the project to the students here in Srishti. They are working on the build infographics related with each inscriptions stones. Means obviously the whatever language is being written is very old Kannada version, so it's very difficult for people to kind of understand. So this is, I don't know whether it's visible or not. Some symbols, some write-ups, and it's very kind of difficult to understand what's the informations. Obviously they have kind of given information related with specific space, that particular place, and also the related with the peoples, right? So a little history about that particular region, a little history about that particular society and their practices, and it's just what they're doing. They are kind of trying to preserve the stones, and they want to build some boards with some infographics, so that with visuals only we can communicate with the peoples, right? So what we have given means, the here in Srishti they try to do a little survey about existing visuals, or maybe the pictograms or the pictographs here. If I show you this one, this is, I think, a very interesting thing. This is, I just pull it out from the ministry. This is a, I hope my skin is visible. My
Yes,
screen
yes,
is visible. Yes.
yes.
This is about a old instruction book about the signage system. It's been from, I think, more than 40 years in Indian Railways, that they use this kind of specific signboards in every railway stations, and they have categorized into different colors. Wolog, signage for services, they have kind of kept yellow, so it's mostly for the service person, or the personnel like station manager, or maybe the chief ticket inspector, the parcel officers. And if you go to the next one, this is a signage for the utilities. So like the footbridge, or the drinking water, wash basins, so ramp, or maybe escalators. And the third one is the regulatory. So it's all about cautions and prohibitory signages, means about no smoking, or not splitting, or maybe about danger, or maybe this is a 440 volt, you can't touch the specific part or the portion of this specific, maybe any box, or maybe any vase, or maybe any particular space inside the railway station. So they have categorized into different colors. And lastly, I think they have while about general enquiries, directional signages, they have kept it green, a little different green. So red, green, blue, and yellow. So mostly four signages: signage for directions, signage for cautions and prohibitory uh, cautions messages, and also signage for utilities, and also signage for the services. So here, the batch of, I think, around 20 students, they went to metro stations here in Bangalore to understand the signage system. Or they have this regulatory booklet, and it's been practicing, means I think here in India, in every railway stations, they are using the same signboards and same symbols or the visuals from last 40 years. But now in different metro stations, because metros are a little complicated, whether it's in Delhi or in Bangalore, a lot of junctions and different lines, blue, purple, green, yellow. So they have kind of came up with a lot of different signboards and different color schemes. So to understand the evolution, or maybe the transitions of the older version of the pictograms being used in different railway stations, and now the new outcomes of different signboards in railway stations, mostly in the metro railway station, underground, or maybe whether it's flyover on the top of the land, so the bridge system. So mostly the tubes, means underground or the metro services. So here, Bangalore Metro Rail Corporation Limited, and they have different junctions. So they have all kind of managed to go through with one single line, which we call green line. And here, sorry, it's purple line. So mostly it's cover around 30 kilometers from the Nagasandra in the north, and to the northwest, that is the Silk Institute. So from Nagasandra to Silk Institute, and here they came up with this map where you can see the escalators and the staircases and ticket scanner and the platforms. And this is this, I think, a little zoomed out versions of the platforms, the staircases, and the escalators. And they have kind of categorized the different signage system here in different part, like identification signages. So here, if you see, before they mostly in Indian Railways, For the directional or identification signage, all are in green, but here in Metro, they turn it into blue. So here you can see here the name of the stations along with the platform name, the drinking water, and here if you see the directional signage is the same thing, that on the right hand side is the ticket counter or maybe the escalator. This is for the while person with disabilities, this space or the ramp for the person with disabilities or with the person with the wheelchair. And informational signages, there is no any specific color code, but it's in different format. But mostly what Piyush is trying to give more emphasis that when we are kind of, whether the literacy rate is increasing here in India, but still I think it's easy for us to kind of, if visuals communicate or kind of interact with our mind directly instead of writings. So nowadays, mostly visuals, or maybe the in form of pictograms or maybe in form of icons. Um, I think it's an easier way to communicate with the masses. So most of the signboards or the signage system are mostly pictogram based, icon based. If I go to the next one, here you can see other instructions, mostly with the visuals. Regulatory signages here, some are with pictograms, some are only flat with text. Uh, Next one is by the materials. Yes, the materials, they are using different material like the sunboards, papers, and as there is no any as such consistency in terms of the material, so in same metro station you can see the signage system in vinyl stickers or with made with paper or maybe made with sunboards, acrylic sheets, and yeah, some interestingly handwritten. But this side is the Iskon temple. If you go step forward, you will see you'll find the Iskon temple, and this is very interesting. And yeah, and outside and concourse area also, yeah, mostly with the visuals. So uh, that's the, I think, the connection now. Mostly we are trying to communicate whatever we are trying to communicate with the masses. I think it's easier way if we manage to communicate the entire thing with a lot of visuals with less text. If it's outdoors, if it's not indoor way of communications, it's better if we use well, mostly the icons or the pictograms. Then it's easy for us to kind of communicate, and I think with it's a good connection, so it's a good relations with the eye and our brains and with the visuals instead of text. So that's what, yeah, so this is all about well, signages here being practiced nowadays in Bangalore city, and this all other languages here mostly are in Kannada, English, and very rare in Hindi. So I think it's easy, and also here in there's a little big controversy. There are many thing happening here related with the language Hindi. So whether it's Indian railway, whether it's a railway station or platform, the common people or the local people, they focus mostly in the original language and English, but they are protesting against to use Hindi as a bilingual kind of option. So I think safer side is obviously with visuals along with some text. Uh, could be English or maybe could be local language. Yeah. Over to you, sir.
So,
Thank you, Vikram, and thank you all of you for this
sir,
session. Now, मुझे लगता है कि आप बोलो 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 कुछ बोलो
sir, actually,
प्लीज
here I thought I should put some light on something. Like there is a point, like as Vikram highlighted the issue with language, because India is a very diverse country. So many people with different languages they are residing in the country, and anyhow they are representing the country as a whole. Like we have Malayali people, Kannada people, Telugu, Tamil in south and northeast states of the country. There are some big issue with language. So here for the addressing the language issue, we can use visuals first. Second, if we are talking about visual, how can a visual language can give a ace for the understanding of any messages? We can take reference from the art history, like how we have our script. It has been started from the symbols. Those are actually pictorial symbols. So anyhow, we can, like, for us right now, we have much difficulties, and we need to understand the technology to understand about the about those scripts, those visual pictorial scripts. But what I feel, if we are looking back into our history, what was the significance of those pictorial scripts? So it it like there are some points. First, it might have some ways to understanding the message. Second, it might, like, it might give the it might minimize the difficulty level to understand the message, whatever written there. And third is how the people they were associated with with the visual, because we have seen in the prehistoric phase of cave painting where they have portrayed their entire story in the pictograms, and they have just transformed those pictograms into the communication they have used for the, like, in many of the stages when we teach to the student about the communication, about the uh, you know um, the starting phase of history communication, we mostly we quote that cave paintings, the pictograms, those were actually using for the communication. So anyhow, it can give ease to understanding, and it anyhow, like, the people, the prehistoric people, they were doing those paintings in the cave for their like to interpret themselves, and at the same time they were also using those pictograms for the communication. So anyhow, it was related with their cultural belief, and they were also using their own skill. So if we look back into the history to relate the visual pictogram based script as in the comparison of today, where we are using those as a language. So what if we can use those to resolve this kind of problem, this kind of conflict for the languages? So I guess if we are using the pictograms in more volume in the comparison of the existing script in different languages, it can minimize this kind of conflicts. That is my only suggestion.
गुड गुड डिबेट फॉर दैट। और बहुत सारी बातें और संभावनाएं हैं, रिसर्च के थ्रू हम इस बारे में बहुत काम करते रहते हैं और दुनिया इसी तरीके से ट्रांसफॉर्म हो रही है। बट गुड ओपिनियन फ्रॉम ऑल ऑफ यू। नाउ मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि अब हम लोगों को इस बारे में भी थोड़ा सा समझना चाहिए कि समय के साथ सोशल डिजाइन कैसे बदला है, और फिर इसके बाद हम थोड़े भारत के सिलसिले में और आएंगे। तो मैं जानना चाहता हूं कि समय के साथ हमारे इस पूरे परिवर्तन में जो सोशल डिजाइन का कंटेक्स्ट है वो कैसे कैसे चेंज हुआ। अगर कोई इस टाइम लाइन के ऊपर भी थोड़ा सा फोकस करे तो दैट विल बी बेटर। नाउ मैं कहूंगा कि पद्मजा जी से शुरू करें पूरे सेशन को।
So I, historically speaking, we started from being cave people. जैसा कि अभी विक्रम shared this beautiful presentation of the cave paintings, वहां से हमने शुरू किया। पर मेरा I want to connect with the pictorial language and all. जो हमारी जरूरतें थी, बेसिक नीड्स बहुत इवॉल्व हो चुकी है। बेसिक नीड्स थी फूड, शेल्टर, क्लोथिंग। एक टाइम पे क्लोथिंग भी नहीं था, इट लेटर इवॉल्व टू क्लोथिंग, देन फूड, शेल्टर एंड क्लोथिंग वर द प्राइमरी थिंग्स विच अ पर्सन नीडेड। इफ वी टॉक अबाउट टुडेज सिनेरियो, फूड, शेल्टर, क्लोथिंग तो है ही, उसके बिना तो आप जी नहीं सकते हैं। बट if we ask our children, they will tell us कि needs में internet is also one basic need. So हमारे जीने की तरीके इवॉल्व हो गए हैं बहुत डिफरेंट डिफरेंट तरीकों से, तरह से। बट यहाँ पर मैं अगेन आई विश टू कम बैक टू वन ह्यूज चेंज विच हैपेंड इन द इंडियन सिनेरियो। इंडिया में जब धार्मिक उतार चढ़ाव चलते थे, मैं दिस इज अराउंड 2000 years, 1900 years back, there was a time when बहुत हमारे जितने भी पूजा पाठ के जो तरीके थे वो बहुत ही बेकार हो चुके थे, रिचुअलिस्टिक हो चुके थे। पंडितों ने सब बना रखा था, लोगों के सारे रिचुअल्स करने से ही आप धार्मिक हो सकते हैं। उस टाइम पर देयर वाज वन ह्यूज सोशल चेंज व्हिच हैपेंड, व्हिच वाज द birth of Adi Shankaracharya. I'm sure all of you know about him. He was born in Kerala and he lived only 32 years. But in those 32 years, he brought about such a change in India and Indian living styles that till today we should be grateful to him that we are not something else. जो हम शुरुआत हमारी हुई होगी वैदिक काल से, जो हमारी शुरुआत हुई थी, हम आज कुछ और ही होते। हमें कुछ भी नहीं जानकारी होती हमारे वेदों के बारे में, हमारे रिचुअल्स के बारे में, या हमारी जो संस्कृति, सनातन संस्कृति के बारे में हमें कुछ नहीं पता होता अगर शंकराचार्य नहीं पैदा होते। 12 साल की उम्र में उन्होंने जो है सब कुछ अपना पढ़ाई लिखाई उन्होंने खत्म कर दी। 16 साल की उम्र तक उन्होंने बहुत सारे स्क्रिप्चर्स लिख डाले और 16 साल में फिर वो लोगों को सिखाने में निकल पड़े। तो 16 से लेके 32 साल तक उन्होंने सिर्फ हमारी वैदिक परंपराओं के बारे में लोगों को जागरूक किया और बताया कि कैसी कैसी परंपराएं होती थी। तो लोगों को जो ये ज्ञान मिला, तो दूसरे दूसरे धर्मों के तरफ लोग आकृष्ट होते जा रहे थे। पीपल वर टर्निंग टू बुद्धिज्म, टू जैनिज्म एंड डिफरेंट अदर religions. So he brought the whole country back on the same track जो पहले था। So this was one huge change which I really appreciate. When I was very small, I used to visit बाल विहार। एक चिन्मया मिशन होता है, चिन्मया मिशन का बाल विहार। they ask people to conduct these बाल विहार, the चिन्मया मिशन members, they conduct बाल विहार्स in different in their own households. बच्चों को बुला करके इन चीजों के बारे में वो बताते हैं। सो in those years of my life I learned this and I was so grateful to, उसी समय मुझे लगता था कि we should all be very grateful to Adi Shankaracharya to bring about. फिर after, before him, like Buddha was one great mode of social change. He brought about something which nobody would have done. Like जो लोगों के अंदर इतनी डिस्पैरिटी थी, आप कास्टिज्म इतना भयानक था, बुद्धा ने लोगों को उस पे से चेंज करके दूसरे रिलीजन के तरफ लेकर के गए, जो कि उनको शांति देता था, उनको इक्वालिटी देता था। सबसे बड़ी चीज है इक्वालिटी फील होती थी कि हम लोग बाकी लोग जैसे हैं, इवन जैनिज्म फॉर दैट मैटर। सो this was a religious social change which happened in those times, and slowly, अब की बात करें, अब तो माने सभी रिलीजन और सभी धर्म एक्सेप्टेड हैं, लोगों को जानकारी है, people can follow which whatever, but this particular thing about this change was very difficult for the people to get into. हम इतनी आसानी से कह देते हैं आज की I want to follow maybe Islam or Christianity or any other religion for that matter. We can say easily, but in those times it was a huge thing. People were not so open about such things, and even the knowledge part was missing. So why should anybody be allowed to do this thing? So this was a kind of a social change which happened in India till the medieval times. From the medieval times change, medieval times के अंदर जो मिडिल ईस्टर्न जो आक्रमणकारी इन लोगों का आना, फिर the whole Mughal सल्तनत was there and the Britishers came in. चेंज की बात में क्या, मुगल्स अपनी एक कुछ चीजें लेकर के आए, then the Britishers came in, but I would give credit to the Britishers to bring a lot of information, a lot of knowledge to our country, which wouldn't have been there, वो नहीं आते। तो हालांकि मैं उन्हें कोई क्रेडिट इसलिए नहीं दे रही हूँ कि वो हमारे ऊपर हम राज करते थे, लेकिन उनकी वजह से भी बहुत सारी नॉलेज हमारी कंट्री के अंदर आई, और we became open to a number of things which were happening in the world rather than just being centered in our country. Now, over to the other speakers, so if they want to elaborate.
थैंक यू, थैंक यू। विक्रम, मैं चाहूंगा इस बारे में थोड़ा सा आप भी अगर अपने आप डिस्क्राइब
जी
करें
ज़रूर
पॉइंट्स
ज़रूर
को।
ज़रूर ज़रूर मैं हाँ ज़रूर। एक्चुअली मेरे पास कुछ इमेजेस हैं, मैं चाहूँगा कि आई शुड शेयर विथ यू द few images as we are talking about the evolutions of social design. और जैसे मैं इससे पहले भी बात कर रहा था विजुअल्स के ज़रिए लोगों के मतलब इंफॉर्मेशन पहुंचाने की, कि कैसे हम लोग एज अ बीइंग अ वेल विजुअल कम्युनिकेटर, मे बी as I am kind of trying to facilitate all the units related to visual communication. So that's why my all well thoughts, or maybe well outcomes, are mostly visual communications related. But still, I'd like to share few images which shows us, or maybe the kind of share the evolutions of well through infographics, or maybe through pictorial objects, how we can depict any information, or how we can communicate informations to the masses. So let me quickly share. Can you share the screen? Can you see my screen? Can you just please confirm once?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the picture, and the approx year is 1786. So here, what happened in the United Kingdom, people often complained about the high cost of wheat, and claimed that wages were kind driving the price up. So a person called William Playfair, considered the father of modern day infographics, wanted to find out if this was true by plotting the price of wheat against the labor cost, जो wedge के कारण हो रहा था. So Playfair's chart revealed that this wasn't true. Wages were rising much more slowly than the cost of wheat. Here you can see some bars, right? So a Scottish engineer and political economist, Mr. William Thay, and served as a secret agent on behalf of Great Britain during the war with France. And obviously the founder of the graphical methods of statistics, जो statistics के different जो आंकड़े हैं वो किस प्रकार दर्शाया जाता है with bars and all. And also yeah, and also he invented several types of diagrams. So diagrams, and like the area and the bar chart of economics datas. And also in 1801, the pie chart and the circle graph used to show the entire calculations. And also one psychologist called from Spain, he said that for him data should speak to eye, and the eye, they were the best judge of proportion. So being able to estimate it with more quickness and accuracy than any other of organs. So I think with visuals only, it's very easy to judge the proportions or the overall measurements. This is the France map. This is around 1826. A gentleman called Baron Charles Dupin invented the choropleth map. So choropleth map is used to count and amounts. It's mostly they used colors, smart mapping symbols. Some smart mapping symbols they use to kind of show the normalized data, and they use some kind of shaded points, lines, or they shade specific areas or particular portions of the overall map. So This is a kind of in proportion of the statistical variables that represent an aggregate summary of the geographical characteristics of the specific region. So this is example 1826. If I go to the next one, this is very interesting. This is done by Andre Michael-Gury. So created map showing moral statistics. He was among the first to use maps with shading to highlight data. So आप अगर देखें कि डाका where the literacy or crime was higher. So ये बात है 1830s का जब ये बार charts आए थे. और एक visual है मेरे पास. This is from 1857. English nurse, उनका नाम है Florence Nightingale, use a Coxcomb chart, a combination of stacked bar and pie chart. ये pie chart के साथ with statistical numbers, and also this is just to pursue Queen Victoria to improve conditions in military hospital, and her graphics highlighted the number and cause of deaths during each month of the Crimean War. So here you can see the blue for the preventable diseases and red for wounds, and she also used black for other reasons, means maybe it's not being identified. So blue for preventable diseases, red for wounds, and black for other causes. I have another one. This is as I was talking about the overall metro map and all. तो ये बात है 1933 का. Harry Beck designed the first map of London Tube, मतलब the underground railways का. He showed the lines to depict the public transit routes and stations. So a milestone infographics हम लोग कह सकते हैं, and still we are using the same, we are following the same norms and the color schemes for our different railways, whether it's metro or whether any other railways in our country. So ये बात है 1933 का. I have another one. This is around 1972 से करीबन 1973 के बीच में था. तो NASA decided that an infographic, this is very interesting. NASA ने सोचा कि an infographic would be the best way to send a message to the extraterrestrial being. And if they exist, अगर वो हैं तो उनको ताकि उनको तो कोई भी ऐसा तो भाई अगर it's about the Bangalore or Karnataka, people understand Kannada, right? पीयूष जी हैदराबाद हैं तो उधर तेलुगु समझ जाएंगे, पद्मा जी के वहाँ हिंदी समझ जाएंगे, पर व्हाट अबाउट दी स्पेस, उधर तो लोग लैंग्वेज नहीं समझते. सो दैट्स व्हाई दे डिसाइडेड कि इन्फोग्राफिक के जरिए एक्स्ट्रा टेरिस्ट्रियल बीइंग को कैसे इन्फॉर्म और कम्युनिकेट किया जाए. And so it's a plaque contains simple illustration of a nude human male and female. You can see the symbols designed to indicate the solar system position in the galaxy. And I think I shared few pictograms about the Olympics sign and symbols. So this is of 1972. Yeah, and afterwards 78 onwards, one gentleman's graphic designer called Nigel Holmes supported the he used very heavy illustrations and decorations to embellish information. So, and then afterwards now we are using kind of obviously different kind of graphics, lines, illustrations, motifs, patterns to communicate informations to others. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Now मैं पीयूष से कहूंगा कि इस बात को कंटिन्यू करते हुए अपनी बात रखें, then we will move for the next question.
What was the question? I forgot. Is the question about the social design change over the time?
No, history, evolution.
History.
Anji.
History, evolution. No? So, sir, what I feel like in India has a longest history in the world, but and I cannot look into that, but I can once that contextualize this history in some specific terms, like into the practice. Mostly we address the social issues through social design. So if I consider this, so I can figure out, I can explain the changes about the historical, like changes of the social design in the practice in several ways. In the early days of social design, the focus was on creating aesthetically pleasing design that would improve the people's life actually. But today, that social design has shifted to a more problem solving approach where designers work collaboratively with community, as I told. So if I give you an example for this, so like in 1920s and 1930s, there was a vast movement where the emphasis was more towards the importance of aesthetics in the design. However, in 1960s and 1970s, the designers began to focus more on problem solving. They started using the design to address issues such as poverty, discrimination, environmental degradation, and many more. So, as a case, community development uh, block grant program from the United States. So, it was established in 1974 to provide funding for the community-led development project. So, the social design it has been evolved from aesthetics to problem centric. So in the second explanation, I can consider the action that was started from individual to collective. So in the past, it was more focused towards individual empowerment and improvements such as designing products for the people with disabilities. Now, today, that approach has shifted to a more collective approach where designers work with community to address their systematic issues to create a collective impact. For example, in 1980s and 1990s, designers they began more focus on the collective action and community-based design, such as participatory design movement that emerged in Scandinavian countries in 1980s, where they started emphasizing on the importance of evolving users in the design process. And in 1990s, designers they began to focus more on the creating social impact through collaborative design projects, such as design for the other 90% exhibition at Cooper Hewitt National Design Museum. So the second approach that I can sense of the of the change of social design that was from the individual to the collective. And the next one I can say from top down to bottom up. So like in the previous time, it was often driven by top-down approach, where designers created solution without engaging the people, like who would be the using them, about the end user. But today now we are like in the particular context of social design, now we are shifted towards talking about the end user. Even we are incorporating them for getting for in the ideation stage, like we are doing empathy. Okay, for instance, in 2000, the human-centered design approach that came into the front on the board, which emphasized user involvement in the design process, and very soon it became increasingly popular. So social design products that also began to focus more on empowering community that take action and create change themselves rather than relying on the external organization or experts. And the most important about which we are talking about in more frequent, that is from local to global. So like previously what we were doing that about the social design, when we were more focused on the local issues and community. Now it has been expanded to address global challenges such as climate change, inequality, and to create solution for their global impact. So in the recent years, we can see the Black Lives Matters that was the movement that came into the front, and people across the world, even from the regional area, they started talking about the Black Lives Matters. And there is another example, very good example, that can be seen in United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So in all those 17 goals, we can see the challenges that has been elicited over there. Those are actually related with the rural area mostly, and we are like the stakeholders who are dealing with them, those concerned, they are taking those local problems ahead with a massive global impact. So that is another approach that has been changed over the time. And one more thing that I can highlight about the design for good to design as a tool for the change. So initially, it was like through a social design for uh, addressing the social concern, we were more focused to look into the design as an intervention to make a thing better. Okay, for making it good. But now it is as a design as a whole. It is now a tool for the change. So like now the designers, they are working to challenge and transform the existing power structures and create more equitable system. It can be understood through a case, this Black Lives Matter. The movement has prompted many designers to examine the ways in which design uh, that can perpetuate the systematic racism, and work towards creating more inclusive and equitable system using the design as a tool for a positive change at a systematic level. So, in my opinion, if I look into the recent history of the design about in the context of its evolution, so I can categorize them into these five different categories. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Piyush. Now I'm requesting to Padmaja ji, if you input your some points. Just a moment. You are unmute.
So,
Yeah.
as a positive social impact, and early designers, like as Piyush said, that designers were busy solving very localized issues. They were not looking at designs in terms of far-reaching impact. And if had this been the thought process that from the beginning till the end, जैसे कि हम अभी भी देखते हैं कि every few days हमारी सड़कें खुदी रहती हैं साइड से. There is no plan as such that sometimes some cable is being inserted in the pipes, and sometimes the sewage system is being done rectified, or some or the other issue. So this is a very these kinds of plans do not work in the long run. They are causing a huge burden on the exchequer of the country, because every now and then some or the other infrastructural issue is being uh, corrected, and which had these things been thought of from the very beginning, this would have been not the problem. So in the past, like now that we have seen that like you said, participatory design is one solution which needs to be more spoken about from the school level. Like things needs to be discussed so that the from the children till the from to the colleges till to the adults, and participation of each level of public should be there, so that every problem is addressed with the with an approach where how it is affecting every person. There is the solution which we come up with is addressing the need of each and every segment, each and every age factor. Every person is heard. Like my problem would be slightly different from Piyush's problem, or your problem for that matter. Maybe you people sitting in Varanasi, they are facing differently the traffic issues, but the issues faced by the traffic issues are there, but the people in Delhi, the traffic issues they face are different from the issues of Varanasi, because here there is too much of traffic. In Varanasi there is less of space. So this is the kind of problems which people are facing, needs to be addressed from the grassroots level, so that the design is not faulty. Over to you, Manish.
थैंक यू बहुत बहुत सारे अच्छे अच्छे इनपुट्स आप सभी लोग दे रहे हैं। एक और बात बड़ी आती है कि जब हम इस पूरे सोशल डिजाइन के इशूज को देखते हैं तो हमें ऐसा कहाँ पे फील होता है कि भारत में सोशल डिजाइन मूवमेंट के क्या क्या बड़े बड़े फैक्टर्स रहे हैं, और उसके साथ साथ मतलब इस तरीके के काम को करने वाले मूवमेंट्स में जो जो की मेकर्स रहे हैं, जो की रोल जिन्होंने प्ले किया, जैसे आपने भी बताया था आदि शंकराचार्य जी को, उसके अलावा और कौन लोग ऐसे हुए हैं कि जो मे बी वो राजनीतिक रूप से भी हो सकते हैं, धार्मिक रूप से भी हो सकते हैं, और समाज सेवक भी हो सकते हैं। अगर उसके ऊपर एक इनपुट देने का प्रयास किया जाए, पीयूष की तरफ से शुरू करते हैं इस बात को, तो थोड़ा सा कुछ बात आगे बढ़ी।
सर मैं कुछ मूवमेंट है उससे पहले हाईलाइट करूंगा, देन आई वुड कम टू द पर्सनालिटी. So in Indian context, it can be seen from the beginning, like from the Indus Valley civilization. So we all are aware of Indus Valley civilization, how we can get those drainage system, public baths, and granaries. So we can sense the design innovation, how they help that community, that term community, to like it was the first civilized community, the Indus Valley civilization. So we can sense the social design if you are looking back, like if you are talking about as a movement. So we can consider as a this Indus Valley civilization as a whole, as a movement. So after this, we can see Mughal architecture, which emerged in India during 16th century, is also known for its intricate design, where they use the symmetrical patterns and incorporation of Islamic and Indian design element. So Mughal architects and designers, they created some most iconic building in the India, including Taj Mahal that we know. And after this, a big event that we can see in the social and political movement, which was Gandhi's movement. So how he has, his philosophy, that philosophy of non-violent resistance and the social reform, those emphasized on the importance of design in the creating a more just and inequitable society. So his movement was more focused on the design innovations such as creating low-cost spinning wheels and designing communal living spaces to promote self-resilience, self-reliance, and sustainable development. So if so, these are the and marriages institution, those also can be considered as a as a movement that make a big difference in the society. If I consider some Indian personality who bring a big change, so like Adi Sankaracharya, you mentioned Raja Ram Mohan Rai, he was there, and uh, and uh, and if I consider the most recent history, so I cannot forget to take name of Anil Gupta. So most of the people they might know about Anil Gupta because he is the social activist and designer who worked extensively on the project that promote rural innovation and entrepreneurship. So and he's also founder of Honeybee Network, that a network of innovators, farmers and artisans who share their knowledge and skill to create innovative solution to a social challenge. So apart from Anil Gupta, some other Indian personalities are there who are actually working in the context of social design, and they are also addressing the social challenges, like Niti Bhan. So Niti Bhan is a design strategist and researcher who has worked on numerous projects focused on social innovation and entrepreneurship. She is known for her work on informal economics in India, most of the artisans, if they are, if we are talking about their upliftment, so the core challenges in many researches that we can see, so the financial support, the financial literacy about the microfinances, the scheme we have many, like government has many schemes for them, but they are not aware of it. So they need to know about the financial planning, financial strategy, the scope of getting, like raising the funding for their own entrepreneurship. So Bhan, she has done plenty good job, ample number of good job to make them aware of the economical aspects for their growth. Similarly, Vijay Chakrabarti he is a designer and educator who has worked on numerous projects related with sustainability and social innovation. He is the founder of Srishti Institute of Art and Design Technology at Bangalore, from where Bikram belongs to. So he like Srishti is a good example of social design, because the entire institute, though, it has a focus on creating interdisciplinary program that promotes social and environmental responsibility. So, and if we are going to explore others, so we'll find good number of person people, those are working on the social innovation. Actually, those are working on social entrepreneurship that can be considered as a social innovation. Dr. Manish Arora, sir, he know many of the people, and he has also appraised some people from the society for doing the social innovation. So, yeah, sir, that's it. That's all from my side.
थैंक यू। मैं चाहूंगा पद्मजा मैम से कि वो भी इस बारे में थोड़ी सी अपनी बातों को और बताएं, क्योंकि ये बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है जानना और समझना कि जो इस तरीके के रिफॉर्म्स हुए, इसी कंटिन्यूएशन में मैं एक और पॉइंट भी ऐड कर रहा हूँ, क्योंकि हम इंडियन कंटेक्स्ट में बात कर रहे हैं। तो बहुत कौन कौन से ऐसे और मूवमेंट्स भी रहे हैं जिन्होंने हमारे समाज को बदला है। दो चार के नाम हम लोगों ने अभी लिए, लेकिन थोड़ी और बातें आए तो हो जाएगा। अभी थोड़ा पावर की प्रॉब्लम के कारण विक्रम जी ज्वाइन नहीं हो पा रहे हैं, जैसे ही होते तो उनसे भी बात करेंगे। तो पद्मजा मैम, और मैं बात को थोड़ा मोड़ता हूँ।
जो मैंने एक किताब पढ़ी थी, फणीश्वर नाथ रेणु की लिखी हुई नॉवेल है वो, बेला आंचल। बेला आंचल जो है, उसमें कुछ ऐसे एपिसोड्स थे जो कि मुझे वो जो संदर्भ है वो है इंडिपेंडेंस के जस्ट बाद उस समय की कैसी परिस्थिति थी, उसके उस पर वो लिखी हुई वो किताब है। और उसके अंदर एक एपिसोड है जिसमें कि वहां उस समय कपड़ा जो है राशन में बंटता था, और लोगों के पास बहुत ही मुश्किलात होती थी। और अगर किसी के घर में अगर जलेबी और चूड़ा दही, बिहार का चूंकि है तो चूड़ा दही और जलेबी अगर भोज में मिल रहा है, वो इतना वो भोज कई महीनों तक याद किया जाता था लोगों के द्वारा, क्योंकि वो सब उपलब्ध ही नहीं था लोगों को। तो उन उन परिस्थितियों के बाद किस तरीके से डेवलपमेंट हुआ है हिंदुस्तान में कि अब आज हम फास्ट फैशन के युग में बैठे हैं। हम कपड़े हमारे रिसाइकलिंग में जा रहे हैं, लोग कपड़े खरीद करके, माने कोई भी स्तर समाज का ऐसा बहुत कम ही ऐसे लोग हैं जहां पर कपड़ों की मुहाल है, मतलब कपड़े हैं सबके पास है। तो उन परिस्थितियों से आज की परिस्थितियों तक हिंदुस्तान को लाने में हम जो जो कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस हैं पिछले गवर्नमेंट्स की, उनको भी नकारा नहीं जा सकता है। और मैं डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह को एक बहुत बड़ा मानती हूँ। ही वॉज अ डॉक्टर ऑफ चेंज। हिंदुस्तान में जो ग्लोबलाइजेशन लाया गया, ग्लोबलाइजेशन के बाद उनके द्वारा कुछ जो पॉलिसीज थी, सबसे बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट एक मनरेगा होता था, जो अब नरेगा के नाम से जाना जाता है। लोगों को हर रोज की दिहाड़ी मजदूरों को मिले, उनके घर में खाना बने, उनके घर में चूल्हा जल रहा है, उनके घर में कपड़े हैं, उनके घर में उनके बच्चे पढ़ने जा रहे हैं। ये सुरक्षित हुआ उस पॉलिसी से, नरेगा जो है। क्योंकि इसके पहले अब मजदूर को अब इनफैक्ट शहरों में अभी भी हो रहा है, ऐसा नहीं है कि नहीं है, जो मजदूर भागते हैं, लेकिन सरकार की ये जिम्मेदारी बनती थी कि उनको मजदूरी दी जाए, पर डे के हिसाब से जो तय मजदूरी है वो उन्हें मिलेगी, जिसके कारण एक बहुत बड़ा समाज में परिवर्तन आया। जो गरीबी की रेखा थी वो और ऊपर और नीचे गई, मतलब उसके नीचे जो लोग हैं वो बहुत उनका नंबर काफी कम हुआ पहले से। इन सब पॉलिसीज के, नरेगा एक मेरे मेरे हिसाब से एक बहुत बड़ा सोशल चेंज लाने में एक बहुत बड़ा उसका हाथ था, नरेगा मूवमेंट का। और एक जो इस इन कंट्रीब्यूशंस के साथ साथ अभी आज की सरकार के परिप्रेक्ष्य में मैं बोलती हूँ, जो एमएसएमईज को जो प्रमोट कर रहे हैं, स्मॉल एंड मीडियम एंटरप्राइजेस का जो है, ये एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन में बहुत बहुत कारगर है। छोटे छोटे शहरों में, छोटे छोटे गांवों में लोग अब उनकी हिम्मत पड़ रही है कि वो एक कोई कारोबार शुरू करें, उनको उसकी सहूलियत मिल रही है, सहूलियत सरकार के द्वारा दी जा रही है, ताकि शहर की तरफ उन्हें ना भागना पड़े एम्प्लॉयमेंट के लिए। अब ये जो चेंज आया है, ये चेंज बहुत बड़ा उसमें रोल है टेक्नोलॉजी का। टेक्नोलॉजी का इंफॉर्मेशन को छोटी बड़ी जगह से छोटी छोटे छोटे जगहों तक पहुंचाने में, इंफॉर्मेशन जो पिछले 10 सालों में इंफॉर्मेशन के बूम हुआ है, उसकी वजह से ये संभव हो पाया है। और ये ना होता तो लोगों को इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए अखबारों या कोई लिटरेचर जो सरकार द्वारा छपवाया जाता है उस पे ही डिपेंडेंट होना पड़ता था। और ये जो इंफॉर्मेशन शेयरिंग जो इतनी फास्ट हो चुकी है, इसकी वजह से लोगों को ये सारी सुविधाएं लेने में आसानी हो चुकी है, और वो अपने जो हक अधिकार हैं उनकी मांग कर पा रहे हैं, उनकी डिमांड कर पा रहे हैं, अपने कंप्लेंट्स को दर्ज कर पा रहे हैं, जो कि सरकार तक पहुंच भी पाते हैं।
सर मेरे पास एक
बहुत
अच्छा
बढ़िया।
एग्जाम्पल है।
मैम,
सर मुझे लगता है कि सभी लोग चिपको आंदोलन के बारे में जानते होंगे, चिपको मूवमेंट, ठीक है ना। ये बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है जो हम सोशल डिजाइन के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में बात करें, जो एक बहुत बड़ा मूवमेंट था और एक बहुत बड़ा डिफरेंस लेके आया। तो ये एक मूवमेंट था जो 1970 से स्टार्ट हुआ था। और जो हम ग्रास रूट इनोवेशन की बात करते हैं ना, तो ये एक्चुअली जो कंसर्न था वो ग्रास रूट एनवायरमेंटल कंसर्न ही था। तो इसे हम ग्रास रूट एनवायरमेंटल मूवमेंट बोल सकते हैं, जिसका एम था कि जो हिमालयन रीजन के जो फॉरेस्ट थे उनके डिफॉरेस्टेशन और उसका जो कॉमर्शियल एक्सप्लॉयटेशन जो हो रहा था उसको एड्रेस करने के लिए। तो मोस्टली आई थिंक सभी लोग जानते होंगे। मैं इसमें सोशल डिजाइन के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में इसको एक बार मैं हाईलाइट रीडिफाइन करना चाहूंगा। तो अब क्या था ना कि ये एक ऐसा मोमेंट था जिसमें जिसमें कलेक्टिव एफर्ट लगा था, जो वीमेन थी स्पेशली उनका कलेक्टिव एफर्ट लगा था, जिन्होंने थ्रू आउट मूवमेंट जो एक सोशल और एनवायरमेंटल प्रॉब्लम है उसको जो है क्रिएटिव तरीके से एड्रेस किया था बाद में, है ना। रोहित, ठीक है। तो अब इसके मेन डिजाइन मतलब जो डिजाइन प्रिंसिपल इसमें यूज होता है, वो कम अगेन। सो अगर हम इसमें कोर की बात करें तो सोशल डिजाइन दैट सीक्स टू यूज design principle and methods to solve social and environmental challenges in this particular movement, which was actually uh, like they actually abide these principles of by utilizing non-violent direct action tactics such as hugging the tree and making forming human chain to protest against the deforestation and promote the sustainable forestry practices. अभी क्या है कि सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है ना, की कॉन्सेप्ट है दैट केम इनटू द एग्जिस्टेंस इन 1987, दैट वाज फर्स्ट टाइम इट वाज डिफाइंड। बट जो प्रैक्टिस था without knowing the nomenclature, without knowing the definition of that particular, इट वॉज स्टार्टेड इन 1970s। सो इस चीज को डिफाइन करने का मेरा जो मोटिव है वो ये है कि कई बार वी कैन सी दैट कि जो नॉमेनक्लेचर है, जो डेफिनेशन है, जो कॉन्सेप्ट है, उसको डिफाइन किया गया, बहुत अच्छे से रिसर्च किया गया, वो बाद में आए। बट अगर हम उसको एज अ प्रैक्टिस देखें तो वो बहुत पहले से या उस डेफिनेशन के पहले से चले आ रहा है, और ये वो ठीक उसी तरीके से चले आ रहा है जहाँ पे हम, जैसे कि हम सोशल डिजाइन की बात करते हैं तो हम कहते हैं कि जो लोकल कम्युनिटी है उसको हम अपने स्ट्रेटजी में लेके आए। जैसे अभी सस्टेनेबल टूरिज्म की जब हम बात करते हैं तो उस सस्टेनेबल टूरिज्म में जो सबसे ज्यादा फोकस एरिया होता है वो लोकल कम्युनिटी का होता है। किस तरीके के उनके कल्चरल बिलीफ, उनके सेंटिमेंट्स, उनका जो आइडियोलॉजी है, उनके जो चीजें हैं, ठीक है, उनके जो मैन्यूमेंट्स है, लोकल मैन्यूमेंट्स है, उसको कोई किसी भी तरीके का वो डिटेरियोरेट ना हो, तो हम ये देखते हैं। तो वैसे ही इसमें जो हम जिस जब जो उसके लिए जो सस्टेनेबल टूरिज्म के लिए जब हम कोई पॉलिसी प्लानिंग करते हैं तो यूजुअली गवर्नमेंट या कोई भी स्टेक होल्डर होता है, तो उस सभी स्टेक होल्डर्स में से एक स्टेक होल्डर लोकल कम्युनिटी के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव भी होता है ना। तो वैसे ही जब हम सोशल डिजाइन की बात करते हैं, उसके जो स्ट्रेटजी की बात करते हैं, उसके डिजाइन प्रोसेस के बारे में बात करते हैं, तो उसमें हम कम्युनिटी, एंड यूजर, स्टेक होल्डर्स में जितने लोग हैं सबको इन्वॉल्व करते हैं, उनके साथ मिलके हम लोग, तभी एक वर्ड हम यूज करते हैं, को क्रिएट करते हैं, ठीक है। तो सेम वही चीज मैं यहाँ पे इसलिए इसको हाईलाइट कर रहा हूँ बिकॉज वी आर अप्रेजिंग हिस्ट्री ऑफ सोशल। So अगर हम हिस्ट्री को अप्रेज कर रहे हैं, then we have to look back into the history and we have to appraise those events. Those are actually based on the social design approach, social design practices, but before the definition of socialism, ठीक है। तो वैसे ही चिपको मूवमेंट में भी यही था कि उधर जो वुमेन थे, they were participated in the, you know, making the strategy for the movement. They had started appraising all those action. Those are actually related with humanities and as well as bionic. So that was my point of view.
There are a few more I would like to add to this. Like one is this lady Savitri Bai Phule. She was responsible for the spread of girls' education in India. She, with her, along with her husband, she led this change. She for the education of girls, which was after the this medieval period, the girl child was considered as the lower in the rung. If seeing a household, always the boys were given preferences, they were given education, but nobody thought of educating girl child. So Savitri Bai Phule was a great ambassador of this change. And then another movement was the Dalit rights movement. Dalits also were given a chance to be in the society. They to prove a point in the society, to be a member of the society, which was uh, earlier not the case. This beautiful story of a Dalit in the uh, I, I don't know whether I've quoted this before. This is a beautiful story when a Dalit, a daughter of a Dalit person, she wants to get a flower from a temple, which the Dalits were not allowed to enter. This poor man, he tries to get the flower from that temple. He was thrashed by the local priests, and this poor girl waiting for that flower, she dies. So such atrocities were there in the society, and this Dalit movement helped lower this divide in the society.
Thank you both of them for these points. But राइट, तो मैं समझना चाहूंगा इन सारे कंक्लूजन को निकालने के बाद बहुत सारी ऐसी बातें हुई जो थोड़ी थोड़ी होती रहती हैं, कंसाइलों के साथ में आई हैं। लेकिन हमारे देश में कुछ न कुछ ऐसे बहुत सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स रहे हैं। अच्छा, विक्रम भी हमारे पास आ गया है। विक्रम ज्वाइन हो गया क्या विक्रम? नो प्रॉब्लम। हम लोग अभी तक बात कर रहे थे कि सोशल डिजाइन का जो पूरा स्वरूप रहा है भारत में, उसमें क्या क्या मेजर पॉइंट्स रहे हैं, कौन से ऐसे मूवमेंट्स रहे हैं, और कौन ऐसे की होल्डर्स रहे हैं जिन्होंने अपने थोड़ा सा रोल प्ले किया है। मैं लास्ट पॉइंट की तरफ बढ़ रहा हूँ, इसी में इस बात को भी ऐड करता हूँ कि कौन से ऐसे बड़े प्रोजेक्ट्स रहे हैं जिन्होंने पूरे समाज में इस तरीके से एक सोशल डिजाइन रिवोल्यूशन लाया है। जैसे अगर मैं आज के समय में देखूं तो मेडिकल फील्ड में बहुत कुछ हुआ है, चाहे वो एक जमाने में चेचक था उससे लेके और अभी पल्स पोलियो तक, और रिसेंटली अभी टीबी का चल रहा है। तो इस सिलसिले में अगर हम कुछ एक क्रोनोलॉजी बना सके कहीं से, तो थोड़ा सा बताओ, जो पिछली बातें हुई उनको भी समराइज करते हुए। हम लोगों ने इससे जस्ट पहले भी बात की थी कि कैसे कैसे भारत में जो आंदोलन हुए और कुछ ग्रेट लीडर्स रहे जिन्होंने इस मूवमेंट्स को वो किया है, तो वो बड़ा अच्छा रहेगा। हम लोग इस पूरे बात में भी जिनको मुझे लगता है कि पीछे हो गए हैं वो हैं महात्मा गांधी जी। तो हो सकता है आप लोग इस बारे में उनकी भी बात को रखें, क्योंकि ओवरऑल कॉन्सेप्ट जब मेरे दिमाग में आया या हम लोगों ने इस पे काम करने को सोचा, तो हम सबकी थॉट के पीछे गांधी जी की ही सोच समझ थी कि कैसे एक सज्जन ने इस तरीके के इतने बड़े बड़े मूवमेंट चलाए, और 4-5 मूवमेंट के बाद हमारा देश आज जहाँ कहीं भी है, हम लोग बहुत अच्छी जगह पे हैं। वो उस जमाने में कैसे सोचा, वो हो सकता है उन्होंने ये सब चीजें नहीं सोची होंगी उस समय के, ये शब्द भी नहीं रहे होंगे। समाज तो रहा, लेकिन इस पढ़ाई लिखाई के नजरिए के हिसाब से कि आज उस पर बैठ के हम एनालिसिस करेंगे, हो सकता है ना रहा, हो सकता है जैसे ऐसे बुद्ध के भी मूवमेंट्स रहे। तो इस पे अगर आप लोग कुछ अपनी बात रखें तो बड़ा।
जो गांधी जी ने नमक आंदोलन चलाया, वो सेल्फ सस्टेनेबिलिटी के लिए कितना बड़ा एग्जाम्पल था कि हम नमक खरीद रहे हैं, नमक हमारे पास है ही नहीं, हमें दूसरों पे आश्रित होना है, हम अपना नमक क्यों नहीं बना सकते। उनकी दूरदृष्टि ही कह सकते हैं इसको, इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं कि गांधी जी के इस इतने बड़े आंदोलन के पीछे एक थॉट तो रहा ही होगा। उन्होंने पहले हमें सेल्फ सस्टेनेबिलिटी सिखाई चरखे चरखे से। दूसरा सस्टेनेबिलिटी का बहुत बड़ा ये पाठ पढ़ाया है नमक आंदोलन से, कि हम अपने ऊपर आश्रित होके क्यों नहीं रह सकते। हमारे कंट्री में सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज जिस समय वो ये सब आंदोलन कर रहे थे कि हम दूसरों को के तरफ ही देख रहे हैं, हम अंग्रेजों को सुपीरियर समझ रहे थे। हमको अपने अंदर की सुपीरियोरिटी, हम अपने अंदर की जो सारी हमारी गुण, हमारे गुण हैं, हमारे हमारे देश की ही चीज से हम अपना सस्टेनेबल हम हो सकते हैं, वो उसका पाठ उन्होंने बहुत ही बढ़िया तरीके से पढ़ाया। इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है। बहुत ही बढ़िया एग्जाम्पल है गांधी जी तो सेल्फ सस्टेनेबिलिटी का।
वो जो
आप
जो गांधी जी का ये दांडी मार्च है, नमक आंदोलन है, जितने हैं ये, जो हम आज हमारे जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर सर है, जो ये बोलते हैं आत्मनिर्भर भारत वाला, तो ये मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि आत्मनिर्भर भारत का जो रूट है ना, वो वहीं से है। जो गांधी जी के जो मूवमेंट रहे हैं, और दोज वर आल्सो पार्ट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल सस्टेनेबिलिटी। लेकिन हाउ कैन यू approach some certain set of practices where you can like you can ensure your financial sustainability, like you can produce for yourself, you are not going to rely on the export or any kind of import, sorry. So those are also part of abhi, as sir told to highlight on some other movement. So uh, जो ये सोशल एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप का राइज है ना, ये एक बहुत बड़ी चीज है। देखिए, जो लाइक इंडिया जैसे कंट्री में जहाँ पे रूरल पॉपुलेशन ज्यादा है और जो बहुत तेजी से अर्बन की ओर माइग्रेट हो रहा है, तो उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में सोशल एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप को देखना, जहाँ पे मेनली वी आर मोर फोकस्ड टुवर्ड द रूरल डेवलपमेंट, रूरल एरिया के लिए, तो उधर एक बहुत बड़ा ये इनिशिएटिव है, जहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट के जो भी स्कीम्स हैं, उस स्कीम्स के कुछ एक हिस्से में सोशल एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप जरूर होता है, इंस्टीट्यूशंस ओपन हो रहे हैं, ठीक है। और जैसे कि डिजाइन इनोवेशन सेंटर है, डिजाइन इनोवेशन सेंटर इंडिया में ऑलमोस्ट इंक्लूडिंग हब एंड स्पोक वी हैव ऑलमोस्ट 70 इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं। तो उनका एक मैंडेट भी है कि दे आर गोइंग टू अपलिफ्ट सोशल एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप, ठीक है। और एक सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है डिजाइन के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, डोनाल्ड नॉर्मन ने जब ह्यूमन सेंटर्ड डिजाइन के बारे में बात करना चाहता, देखिए हम एज अ डिजाइनर, जैसे कि आफ्टर इंडस्ट्रियल रिवोल्यूशन we were focused more towards producing any product, like प्रोडक्ट तो बनाना है, ये वाला एक था, कुछ भी बनाना है, मार्केट में लाना है, कॉमर्शियल वैल्यू क्या है उसको देखना जरूरी है, ये एक तरीके का मैंडेट। लेकिन उसके बाद जब डोनाल्ड नॉर्मन ने पहली बार, मतलब ही इज इन टीचिंग, लाइक अभी वो रिटायर्ड है, बट ही वाज स्टार्टेड टीचिंग फ्रॉम 1967। तो वो मतलब ये आइडियल है कि आर वी प्रोड्यूसिंग अ प्रोडक्ट दैट इज एक्चुअली रिलेटेड टू द ह्यूमन, आर दोज प्रोडक्ट आर सॉल्विंग द ह्यूमन प्रॉब्लम्स। सो वहां से ह्यूमन सेंटर्ड प्रॉब्लम जो है, ह्यूमन सेंटर्ड डिजाइन जो है, ये एग्जिस्टेंस में आता है। और जब हम डिजाइन प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं, वहाँ ह्यूमन नीड्स को या ह्यूमन कम्युनिटी हुआ, उनके जितने भी एस्पेक्ट है, कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट है, उनकी साइकोलॉजी है, उनका सोशल चीजें हैं, उनका सोशल बिहेवियर है, सोशल कॉग्निशन, एवरीथिंग वेयर वी आर गोइंग टू एड्रेस व्हाइल क्रिएटिंग अ प्रोडक्ट, सिंपल प्रोडक्ट। अभी जो रिसेंट बातचीत हो रही है वो है बायोमिमिक्री। अभी ये है कि व्हाई वी आर ओनली फोकसिंग ऑन ह्यूमन, हम एक लाइक वी आर सोशल एनिमल, apart from us there are other animals are also there, they are living with us, mosquitoes है, ठीक है, flower है, leaf है, so we need to also concern about them। so एक ये बड़ा शिफ्ट है जो अभी आने वाले दिनों में देखने को मिलेगा। अभी ये उतना वाइडली स्प्रेड नहीं हुआ है बायोमिमिक्री, बट एनी हाउ ये होने वाला है। और मैम आपने हाईलाइट किया ही पार्टिसिपेटरी डिजाइन मूवमेंट का, और रिसर्च, जो हम रिसर्च करते हैं, रिसर्च में एक बहुत बड़ा चेंज जो आया है पिछले, मुझे लग रहा है 10 सालों में, 10 साल से भी कम समय में, वो है ओपन सोर्स मूवमेंट, है ना। अभी क्या, उसके पहले क्या था कि अभी आपने रिसर्च कर दिया, किसके लिए रिसर्च किया, किसी ने भी, किसी रिसर्चर ने रिसर्च किया, एनी हाउ इट शुड बी कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटेड, इट शुड बी कंट्रीब्यूटेड टू द सोसाइटी। अभी आपका रिसर्च अगर सोसाइटी के अपलिफ्टमेंट में, उसके डेवलपमेंट में काम में नहीं आ रहा है, तो उसका कोई मतलब नहीं। तो पहले अभी भी बहुत सारे जर्नल्स में ऐसा होता है कि रिसर्च हुआ और उसको एक्सेस करने के लिए यू हैव टू पे समथिंग, और बहुत ह्यूज अमाउंट है। तो एक अलग मूवमेंट स्टार्ट हुआ है ओपन सोर्स। नाउ ओपन सोर्स में क्या है कि most of the researchers who are doing research with some certain set of fundings, so what they can do, they can utilize those funds to give them to the publisher, so that they can manage entire financial liability to spread those information, the resource centric information among the society। anyone can go there, they can access। MDPI एक पब्लिशर है, वो लोग ओपन सोर्स पे ज्यादा, अब उसके बाद स्प्रिंजर हुआ, टेलर एंड फ्रांसिस हुआ, जितने भी पब्लिशिंग कंपनीज हैं, पब्लिशर्स हैं, वो लोग ओपन सोर्स एक ऑप्शन स्टार्ट कर। तो कहीं ना कहीं अगर वो जो रिसर्च हो रहा है, जो फंडेड रिसर्च है, उसको जो है सोसाइटी, मेन स्ट्रीम सोसाइटी में सबके लिए एक्सेसिबल होना बहुत जरूरी है। तो ये सोशल ओपन सोर्स जो मूवमेंट है रिसर्च में, मुझे लगता है कि ये बहुत अच्छा, इम्प्रेसिव और इम्पैक्टफुल मूवमेंट। तो ये है, और भी बहुत सारे मूवमेंट है, भी उसको याद करना, याद आना दिमाग में थोड़ा मुश्किल है, बट है। विक्रम, इफ यू कैन ऐड समथिंग इन दिस
अगर टॉपिक अगर थोड़ा बताया जाए तो।
टॉपिक सर का ये कहना था कि कोई ऐसा बड़ा मूवमेंट जिसने सोसाइटी को शेप किया हो, मतलब चेंज लाया हो, एक बड़ा चेंज लाया हो, और जिससे कुछ अच्छा इम्पैक्ट आ रहा हो।
So the big movement, or maybe the organizations, or maybe the group of peoples that they are working here, I can say that there is one group. Well, mostly it's under the BBMP here in Karnataka state. So mostly the people or the kids that they pick the plastics and the garbage from our surroundings, right? So while it's under the CSR, corporate social responsibilities, while GTS and organizations that creates design driven stories to teach the poorest of kid on the planet. So they believe in storytelling, and they use design thinking to create stories based on research with children, teachers, and parents, and your young sustainable entrepreneur. So they follow an interactive process of prototyping to make things out of nothing, and their new project is the children's scrappy new service takes prototyping to a whole new level of being scrappy. So going to school believes anyone can make something out of nothing to change the way things are. So mostly it's an organizations that's they mostly work with the children, those who kind of doesn't enroll their name in the different schools, but they are trying to kind of create something something creative out of their whatever their collections are. So they buy whatever plastics or maybe whatever garbage that they are collecting from the surroundings, and they are kind of coming up with some innovative products. And as we said, that design is about how people can come together, how people communicate, or maybe how people share, how people understand. So there are kind of all functions of design, and it's probability that superpower of the planet, right? So if you want to design for social change, then make it. Don't talk about that it will, I will do, or maybe. So this is their main motto or kind of initiative that the most of the, so nowadays there are more designers today than ever before. So in order to bring change, what they are doing, they need to kind of, they are kind of coming up with positive feedbacks loops and thinking of social designs just beyond corporate social responsibilities and others fundings that they are kind of managing to get from different sources, and volunteerism, and also they are engaging different designers here. I can say that different students, or maybe the young designers, they are also kind of attaching with them, and they are also engaging them. And they said that the opportunity for the designer in India is everything. Go for a replacing, they are going for a replacing plastic, and then solve for a clean air, and then the water, figure out that what they are going to do with their, suppose the ocean plastics, or maybe the outside the garbage that are kind of dumped in our surroundings. So they are coming up with their innovative ideas and coming up with some products. They are trying to develop and turning into different materials, and then they afterwards they come up with different innovative products. So I think it's not about it's not the problem with the funding, but also about the engagement, how the new designers are trying to engage themselves with different organizations. There are still different organizations working for many social causes, and they also are trying to find out some innovative, they're trying to find out some problems, and want to come up with some innovative ideas. So there is three projects still going on, and I think they're coming up with wonderful outputs while regenerating existing garbage into new outstanding products. So yeah.
There is another gentleman whom I'm sure you all would have heard of. His name is Sonam Wangchuk. He belongs to Leh Ladakh.
Yeah.
He is an engineer, an innovator, and education reformist who has made significant contributions in the field of sustainable and innovative education in India. He's made those ice stupas you must have seen in pictures, and which it uses artificial glaciers to address the problem of water scarcity in Ladakh. And he's developed solar powered tents for Jawans, and he solar powered accommodations for the people in Leh Ladakh, and he's consistently working to highlight the problems of Leh Ladakh for to the government. He recently, very recently, he went on a 5-day fast. He was lying in the cold without food and water to highlight this situation of Leh Ladakh to the world, so that things can be done about it. So he is one name whom I really look up to for bringing about social change. He's been working consistently towards this, and I see that there are things he has made and developed for that area.
थैंक यू एवरीवन। मुझे लगता है कि बहुत अच्छी हम लोगों की बातें हुई और सोशल डिजाइन के कंटेक्स्ट में जिस टॉपिक पे आज हम काम कर रहे थे कि कैसे उसकी उत्पत्ति हुई, कैसे हम आए और दुनिया से लेके भारत तक कैसे ये हो और हमारे को कैसे बदल रहा है, इसमें कई सारे मुद्दे, हर समय एक पॉइंट एक बार में एक मुद्दा नहीं ले सकते हम। पॉलिटिकल इशूज हैं, कल्चरल इशूज हैं, बहुत कुछ है जो आगे आने वाले मंडे, ट्यूसडे, वेडनेसडे और थर्सडे के सेशन में भी हम इसको इनकॉर्पोरेट करेंगे। सबसे पहले मैं पूरे हमारी ऑर्गेनाइजिंग टीम की तरफ से पद्मजा जी को धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं, जिन्होंने अपने बहुत सारे अच्छे अच्छे इनपुट्स रखे और हम चाहेंगे कि फ्यूचर में भी इस तरीके के वो हमारे साथ बातचीत में सहयोग दें। इसके बाद विक्रम है और साथ ही साथ इस पूरे प्रोग्राम में जो इसके पूरे को ऑर्गेनाइजर हैं पीयूष कुमार, डॉक्टर पीयूष कुमार गुप्ता, उनका भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि उन्होंने इस कार्यक्रम को ऑर्गेनाइज कराने में हमारी मदद की। और हम सभी का धन्यवाद देते हैं, पार्टिसिपेंट्स का बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत ध्यान से सुन रहे थे। हो सकता है बहुत सारे बच्चों के लिए भी या स्टूडेंट्स के लिए भी बहुत कुछ ऐसा नया हो कि जो उनको लग रहा हो कि किस रिलेवेंस में बातें हो रही हैं। तो हम लोग सोशल डिजाइन के रिलेवेंस में बात कर रहे थे कि हमारा, जिसको सोशल मीडिया ना समझा जाए, वो वन ऑफ दी मूवमेंट्स हो सकता है या कंपोनेंट हो सकता है, लेकिन जो हमारा पूरा समाज है वो समाज कैसे बदला है और उसमें एज ए डिजाइनर हम क्या रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं और किन्होंने इस तरीके के काम को किया कि जिनको हमको आज देखना चाहिए कि आज से सैकड़ों साल पहले कैसे चीजें बदलती गई हैं, उसमें किस तरीके से किस किस ने अपना रोल प्ले किया है। तो आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ अप्लाइड आर्ट, फैकल्टी ऑफ विजुअल आर्ट और स्पार्क टीम